On News Hour tonight, PDP appoints new leader in Delta, asks Governor Sharif to vacate office. Former presidential aide Hakeem Baba Ahmed calls for youth takeover, urges President Tinubu to step aside. Visually impaired UTME candidates in Jos speak out, say science education remains out of reach. And on the international scene, Amnesty International accuses Israel of live streaming genocide in Gaza. Hello and welcome to News Hour on Trust TV. I am Fatima Ahmed Musa. Thank you so much for joining. Now, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, says Nigeria will reject the ruling All Progressive Congress, APC, at the 2027 poll despite the wave of defection hitting the opposition. This comes as the PDP's National Working Committee convened an emergency meeting in Abuja to review recent political developments. Trust TV's Shafiu Suleiman reports that the PDP National Working Committee has strongly condemned the defection of Delta State Governor and former Vice Presidential candidate Ifeanyi Okowa to the APC. The party described the move as a betrayal and vowed to take every legal and political step to reclaim its mandate from all defectors. To report.
Nigeria's main opposition party, the People's Democratic Party, appeared to be in a panic mood after losing its high-profile members, including a serving governor of Delta State, its former presidential running mate, and of course the entire structure in Delta State, one of the oil-rich states in Nigeria. But this is not a coincidence, many will say. This is a party that has been enmeshed or entangled in a protracted leadership crisis. Of course, in addition to quite a number of litigations that have made the party, that have made it difficult for the party to play its role as the main opposition party in Nigeria. It is the reason behind this emergency meeting. The NWC meeting that has been summoned by the party is aimed to address some of these lingering challenges and perhaps halt what many call the APC tsunami that is sweeping across the states and of course hitting the party hard.
They can coerce, like I said earlier, cajole and intimidate our members into joining them. But they can only do that because they feel they have what it takes. When the time comes, they will receive the result from Nigerians. It has happened before, and it will repeat itself. The parameters that will make Nigerians revolt against them is all in place. This government has been so insensitive to the yearnings and feelings of people. They have nothing so far. They have not shown any remorse. We are not conquered people. We are Nigerians, tax-paying Nigerians, law-abiding citizens, and we have rights. And when the time comes, Nigerians will show them that they have rights.
It has been a very marathon meeting here of the NWC of the People's Democratic Party at the Wadata Plaza. Perhaps looking at the issues afflicting the party, ranging from the web of defection that has hit the party hard, and of course the leadership crisis that has been undermining the party's ability to live up to its expectation as the main opposition party in Nigeria. But whether the resolutions will address the concerns is only left to be seen. Shafiu Suleiman, Trust TV News, Abuja.
And now joining us to discuss on this development is Jide Ojo, who is a public affairs analyst. Thank you so much, Mr. Jide, for joining us. Okay, so what do you make of the reaction of the main opposition party in the fight for this 2027 election?
Well, what PDP is saying is not new, and I'm not surprised that they are in panic mode. PDP is a master of the game. That was the game they were playing for 16 years, from 1999 to 2015. And power has changed hands. And I've always said that while PDP is graduate school, APC is postgraduate school. And I like what Sheffield said in his background to this story, where he traced the problem with PDP to its protracted leadership crisis. As we speak, PDP has acting national chairman and acting national secretary. Why is that so? Because they couldn't just get their leadership torso fixed from 2015 after they lost the presidential seat. They set up a Kwerimadu committee to look at the remote and immediate causes of their electoral defeat in 2015, but they never implemented the recommendations. And you could see a party that have had multiple national chairmen, about 4 or 5, in the past 10 years, when ordinarily you should be talking of even just 2, if they are all is well. So I'm not surprised at whatever PDP is doing. It is expected that they will come out smoking. They have said that they will go to court to retrieve their mandate, but I know it's all a futile effort. If they are thinking that they can get the governor of Delta State to vacate his seat, there have been several Supreme Court decisions that have affirmed that a governor or someone in executive position is at liberty to switch political party. There is no punitive measure against any executive member, whether a president, a governor, or a member of the or chairman of a local government. You will recall that under immediate past President Muhammadu Buhari, 2 governors defected from PDP to APC. We are talking of governor of Cross River State, Professor, I've forgotten his name now.
Okay, so we apologize for that cut in transmission. Well, let's move on to more stories.
APC, when it was
as Nigeria inches close to the 2027 general elections, the political landscape is already heating up. The immediate past special advisor on political matters to President Bola Tinubu, Dr. Hakeem Baba Ahmed, has called on the president to step aside and allow the young generation to take the reins and fix the nation's lingering problems. Trust TV's Bello Musa reports.
He could win.
Dr. Hakeem Baba Ahmed broke his silence in Kaduna, expressing deep concerns about Nigeria's political, economic and security challenges. He revealed that during his time in office, he didn't have the opportunity to truly advise President Tinubu. However, given the worsening situation in the country, he said he now feels compelled to speak up.
If he insists on running in 2027, he could win, but he will just simply make the country worse. If he loses, the people who will defeat him will wipe out whatever he thinks he has left in the legacy within a few months. So the best thing he can do is to rise up to the historic challenge, regenerate Nigeria. If you do that in your own party, every party will bring out candidates like your own.
The former aide emphasized that Nigeria is at a critical juncture and can no longer afford to recycle the same political class. According to him, the only viable way forward is to hand over the baton to a younger, more innovative generation capable of driving meaningful change. With political alignment and realignment already shaping conversation ahead of 2027, Baba Ahmed pointed out that many of the familiar political faces no longer have any business in governance and should step aside.
This country belongs to your generation and your children. Our own is finished. We've done our own. We've made a lot of mistakes. We've done a few good things. All these people running, changing places in political parties, they have no business in government. They are finished. They should leave for younger generation Nigerians. Make your own mistakes. Fix them.
He also advised those working to form a political coalition ahead of the 2027 elections to prioritize fresh ideas and inclusivity rather than recycling old political strategies. Meanwhile, some youth-led groups have criticized a number of PDP governors for distancing themselves from ongoing coalition effort, which they believe could challenge the ruling APC.
Strongly urge the PDP Governors Forum to immediately reconsider their decision and prioritize the interests of Nigerians over their personal or sectional interests. Otherwise, Nigerian youths will find leaders who prioritize their interests and defend their rights in the upcoming 2027 election, as we are now wiser than ever.
Dr. Baba Ahmed's recent open letter has stirred up renewed conversations and reactions across Nigeria's political sphere, especially among youth groups and opposition circles, raising critical questions about who truly holds the future of Nigeria's democracy. Bello Musa, Cross TV News Kaduna.
Borno State is mourning following a series of Boko Haram attacks that claimed the lives of at least 30 people, including women and children, on Monday. In Chibok, gunmen opened fire on mourners gathered for a community leader's prayer, killing at least 14 people and injuring several others. Multiple homes were set ablaze during the attack. Meanwhile, in Kala Balge local government area, an improvised explosive device planted by the terrorists exploded near Ran, killing at least 16 commuters, including 6 children and 4 women. The victims were traveling to Gambarungala when their vehicle hit the device. Injured survivors from both attacks were evacuated to near medical facility for treatment. The attack comes just 4 days after the killing of 14 farmers and 2 civilian vigilantes in Goza, and the ambush of 10 civilian joint task force members in Borno and Adamawa. Now, the Nigerian Army says it will enhance the capacity of troops through a multidimensional strategy to defeat national threats, especially with the resurgence of attacks in the northeast. The Chief of Army, Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluyede, made this known in an interview with journalists after the Army combatant training held at headquarters of the Nigerian Army Armor Corps Bauchi. Trust TV's Adamu Imam completes this report.
The Chief of Army Staff gave an assurance that the Army remains committed to curbing insecurity in the country with the training of troops in modern techniques that will guarantee the safety of the country. Lieutenant General Oloyede vowed that with such trainings, the Nigerian military is ever ready to defeat insurgency in all its ramifications.
I fought the combat arms to appraise our operations in all the theaters in Nigeria. And I hope that at the end of the day, we will see our challenges, provide solutions to how these challenges can be addressed, and see how we can secure Nigeria better. That's the system of training.
He added that with more collaborations and improved strategies, the country will be secured while Nigerians will continue to live in peace without any form of attacks.
We imagine this because it's something that has been with us. What we've done now is that we are trying to strategize, then we've rejigged the commanders in the field, And I believe with added enablers, we're going to overcome that challenge. It's not something temporary.
The Nigerian army also agreed to improve the welfare of the troops by providing a conducive atmosphere for them to operate. Adam Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
The Nigerian police has arrested 12 suspected kidnappers and 3 alleged gun runners separate operations across Taraba and Kaduna State. According to the police statement on Tuesday, the arrest followed coordinated intelligence efforts by the Force Intelligence Department's Special Tactical Squad, State Police Commands, local hunters, and vigilante groups. The statement said on April 25th, 4 suspects were apprehended in Maraban Abari, Lao local government of Taraba, while allegedly planning a kidnapping operation. It listed arms recovered to include AK-47 and AK-49 rifles, magazines, and 45 rounds of ammunition. The statement noted that 5 more suspects linked to a kidnapping gang operating across 6 northern states were also arrested during a raid. In Kaduna, the statement said police arrested a suspected kidnapper on April 17th who has reportedly relocated to form a new gang after his previous group was dismantled, adding that 2 more suspects were later arrested in Lere local government of their alleged involvement in local abductions. According to the statement on April 18th, 3 individuals suspected of gun running were apprehended in different locations within Kaduna, with locally fabricated firearms recovered. It said all suspects are in custody and will be prosecuted upon completion of investigations. The Federal High Court sitting in Abuja has admitted in evidence an extrajudicial statement the detained leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu, made in 2015 shortly after he was arrested by operatives of the Department of State Services. The statement was tendered before the court by a DSS operative that appeared as the first prosecution witness in the 7-count treasonable felony charge the federal government referred against Kanu. The witness, whose identity was shielded, was simply identified as PWAA. He testified behind a screen. In his evidence in chief, the witness told the court that he led the team of security operatives that arrested the defendant on October 14, 2015, in one of the rooms at Golden Tulip Hotel, Lagos International Airport. While the video recordings were played in the open court following a directive from the prosecution counsel, the witness also read out the statement Kanu made at the DSS. Kanu's legal team, led by a former Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Chief Kanu Agabi San, did not raise any objection. Trial Justice James Omotosho admitted items in evidence and marked them as exhibits in the case. President Bola Tinubu has approved the redeployment of 4 federal permanent secretaries as part of ongoing efforts to strengthen the operations of the Federal Civil Service and enhance service delivery. A statement issued by the Director of Information and Public Relations, Office of the Head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Eno Olutu, explained that the move aligns with the administration's renewed hope agenda and it's aimed at boosting operational efficiency and innovation across ministries. According to the statement, Mariada Ogwe was redeployed from the Ministry of Solid Minerals Development to Ministry of Regional Development to understudy the outgoing permanent secretary, who is set to retire May 7, 2025. Farouk Yusuf Yabo moved from the Ministry of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy to Ministry of Solid Minerals Development, while Emeka Vitalis Obi was transferred from Ministry of Budget and Economic Development to Ministry of Petroleum Resources. Meanwhile, Ogbodu Chinasa Nam was moved from the Special Duty Office, OHCSF, to the Ministry of Information and International Orientation. You're watching News Hour on Trust TV. Coming up after the break, a landmark Supreme Court ruling that could change how Nigerians access public information on the foreign scene. This and more when we return. Do stay. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is News Hour on Trust TV. Now, here's a recap of our top stories again. PDP appoints new leaders in Delta, asks Governor Sharif to vacate office. Former presidential aide Hakeem Baba Ahmed calls for youth takeover, urges President Tinubu to step aside. And now moving on to more stories. Legal and media practitioners in the country say the recent decision of the Supreme Court on the FOIA would empower citizens to exercise their right to access to information, and particularly at the state and local government levels. This followed the ruling which overturned the controversial 2018 judgment by the Court of Appeal Benin Division, which had limited applicability of the FOI to only federal ministries, departments, and agencies. The Supreme Court, in its ruling, has now reaffirmed that public institutions at all levels are bound by the FOI. Ahmed Dati sends in this report.
The provisions of the FOIA require public institutions and private entities to disclose information as requested by the citizens. But the 2018 decision of the Court of Appeal confines enforcement of this right to federal ministries, departments, and agencies. However, a recent decision of the Supreme Court has altered the position, making it applicable to all tiers of government. A Kano-based legal practitioner, Muaz Umar, said the decision of the Apex Court is a robust clarification of the law, capable of addressing the challenges of limited compliance and judicial bottlenecks.
The Act has brought a lot of changes, and with the recent Supreme Court decision, a lot can be actualized. You see, from my own end, it will empower journalism, and it will boost investigative journalism, and it will aid in fighting corruption. That means it will serve as an anti-corruption act, because it gives all Nigerians access to information that they need from all tiers of government. For example, let's look at our budget. A Nigerian can go and apply and know how are these funds used. From all indications, someone might write and he might not be attended to. He might seek for information, but he might not be given. And at that point, the resort he has is to resort back to the courts and apply to the court, informing the court that he has sought for information and that information was denied. So from my own end, Supreme Court's decision has re-empowered the application of the Act.
For Aminu Naganye, a journalist, the recent judgment of the Apex Court will be a game changer for media practitioners and the citizens.
My experiences with federal agencies or MDAs, it was quite interesting. Of course, you may have one or two that may deny it, but in most cases, I have never written, with the exception of probably Minister of Agriculture, Federal Minister of Agriculture, I have never written FOI requests to a particular MDA of the federal government that I did not get a sort of reply or response. So largely, they are complying at the federal level, but the state level, that is where the challenge is. That is why this particular Supreme Court ruling is really going to be a game changer for the journalists, particularly at subnational level.
Stakeholders believe that unrestricted access to information promotes transparency and public accountability in governance. Ahmad Datti, Trust TV News, Kano.
Some visually challenged individuals are raising concern about the limited access to science education they face in primary and secondary schools. According to them, this lack of foundational science knowledge prevents them from pursuing science-related courses in tertiary institutions. Ado Musa reports.
These individuals, who are candidates who register for the 2025-2026 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination for blind and other disabled persons, organized by the Joint Admission and Matriculation Board, explain why they often avoid science courses after secondary school. They lamented that despite their interest in science, various factors at the primary and secondary levels severely limit their access.
So most of us, we like art because math, it's not all of us who can do mathematics because of the learning material for mathematics. As a special student, our material is high, is scarce, so we mostly go to art due to the level of the subject.
There's in some schools, the schools don't have like resources for visually impaired in science class, and then maybe it's like some schools, even attention is not like much given to the people living with disability in science class. Sometimes like that. And then the resources are being provided. Then it will aid the people living with disability to learn more.
Like from my own experience personally, me myself, it's not as if I even wanted to go for arts. I have this passion for science. So the whole thing is from the secondary school, and the main cause for this is the resources, because science is based on practicals aside of the theory and other aspects. So practical is very important, and then you need the equipments that will help you to enhance in learning. So, and for our secondary education, we don't have those equipments we need to do the practicals and all those stuff. So I think that is the main reason why people feel to opt for art.
Beyond the challenges in the earlier education, the candidates also voiced concern about tuition fees in tertiary institutions, fearing that high costs will prevent many from attending universities and other high learning institutions.
Based on my interaction with some of them that have been in the institution, so I think the main issue is the issue of tuition fee, and they feel that as someone living with disability, they should be given at least a discount on the tuition fee. And another thing is the availability for learning, that is the learning equipments. Maybe like we have the sighted, they have things like technology gadgets such as phone system and other stuff that can help them in terms of doing assignment and other research. But someone living with disability, to access those things are very expensive.
The UTME for blind persons and other persons with disabilities aims to provide equal opportunities for higher education compared to their non-disabled peers. Ado Musa, Trust TV News, Jos.
Despite years of investment in raising awareness about the importance of polio vaccination, some families in Adamawa State is still struggling to accept an immunization. However, the latest National Immunization Plus Days campaign is achieving high vaccination compliance across the 226 political wards of the state, and more families embrace the exercise. Gibson Swadego reports.
A team of health workers is moving from house to house, administering polio vaccines to children under the age of 5. The Adamawa State government aims to vaccinate over 1.4 million children during the National Immunization Plus Day campaign, which is supported by UNICEF. While the campaign is progressing well in most of the 226 political wards, some families continue to have difficulty accepting the importance of polio vaccination. Muhammad Usman, the ward head of Alkalawa in Yola North, explained the difficulty some of the workers are facing and how they resolve it. He said we received cooperation from some households while others are resistant to participating. As the ward head, it's my responsibility to engage with those who refuse immunization. My goal is to explain that immunization is in their best interest, especially regarding the health and well-being of their children. Houses and children who have been attended to are marked, while the record keeper in the team documents each visit to avoid duplication of efforts. The health workers commended the communities for their high compliance levels, while also noting areas that need improvement for greater success in the immunization effort. She said, overall, everything has been going smoothly. However, we do encounter some minor issues in certain households. We urge donors and the government to consider providing items that can easily attract children to get vaccinated. UNICEF, in collaboration with the Adamawa State government, is providing technical support, logistics, vaccines, and financial assistance to ensure the campaign's success. Gibson Soadugu, Trust TV News, Yola.
The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, has called for renewed legislative action to guarantee the safety of Nigerian workers and strengthening occupational safety standards nationwide. Speaking through Representative Adelagbe Oluwatimehin at the 2025 World Day for Safety and Health at Work conference in Abuja, Abbas stressed the need to protect workers from hazard and fatalities. The report.
The Speaker called for stricter enforcement of safety protocols, particularly in high-risk sectors like construction, healthcare, and mining. The chairman of the committee, David Idris Zacharias, described the conference as a landmark effort pledging continued legislative advocacy for improved safety policies.
As a constitutionally empowered lawmaking body in the country, the House of Representatives is poised to cause necessary review of existing laws and seek ways to streamline and make them more effective in safeguarding the public health and safety. It is our commitment as the 10th Assembly House of Representatives to prioritize the interests of Nigerians, people, in the lawmaking process. To this end, we shall do all that is legislatively possible as captured in our 10th legislative agenda.
As we gather here today for the first ever celebrations of the World Day for Safety Conference in Nigeria, we take a step towards institutionalized safety within every sector of our economies. We take a bold step towards a future where safety standards and universally respected, constantly enforced, and continuously improved.
In a goodwill message, the Minister of Labour and Employment, Muhammadu Maigari Dingyadi, reaffirmed the federal government's commitment to safer workplaces. He called for an inclusive, collaborative approach rooted in tripartism involving government, employers, and workers to shape effective national safety policies.
This ensures that policies are not only technically sound, but also practically enforceable and socially inclusive. The Ministry remains committed to engaging constructively with the National Assembly, social partners, and all relevant stakeholders to ensure that emerging legislative proposals, including the Occupational Safety and Health Bill, reflect a unified, robust, and forward-looking national strategy that balances innovation with workers' protection.
The event themed the legislative perspective, Safety First, Building a Safer Future for All Nigerians, was organized by the House Committee on Safety Standards and Regulations to address workplace safety challenge.
Amid rising concern over the integrity of Nigeria's electoral process, citizens and political groups are voicing their frustrations, calling for reforms, transparency, and greater accountability from both state governments and electoral bodies. This, they say, will restore voter confidence in the electoral process and boost public participation. The report.
Presently, there is a sense of discontent among Nigerians who have been voicing concerns about the credibility of elections in Nigeria, as many perceive the system as broken and untrustworthy.
In this country, I do not believe voting is counting. The reason I'm saying is that when people are coming out for that election, maybe they want to vote. But by the time when your vote finish, at the end of the day, they count another person as a winner. Which is, I do not believe that voting was counting in this country.
Another citizen, Adebanjo Olajuku, shared a similar sentiment that emphasized the importance of civic duty, even in a flawed system.
We know how it goes every year. Every time they do conduct the state conduct the election, that they will favor themselves. Even PDP or Labour Party state, they will favor themselves. Even ABGA, they will favor themselves. So we know what is going on.
The African Action Congress, AAC, Lagos State Chapter, has issued a strong statement condemning what it called the lawlessness following the recent happenings in the state chapter of the APC and the State House of Assembly.
AAC party in Lagos will be fielding candidates for the local government elections alone. We will not be involved in the legal LCDs. Now, and as we are fielding the election, we will be challenging that process to make sure that the LCD election doesn't hold.
Residents are demanding a more transparent and inclusive system. While skepticism remains high, voices from the streets and political groups alike continue to call for a renewed commitment to democracy, urging citizens not to give up on their right to vote.
Operatives of the FCT Police Command Scorpion Squad have arrested one Yusuf Yunusa and his wife Blessing over alleged car theft. The police in a statement said Blessing has, during investigation, confessed to purchasing a Toyota Master Key on an online marketplace, which her husband used to steal vehicles while she created distractions to facilitate the crime. In another operation, 5 suspects were arrested following a report from a car buyer in Livecam regarding a suspicious black Mercedes-Benz 4MATIC E400, which was later confirmed to have been stolen from Lekki, Lagos. The stolen vehicle was recovered while the suspect confessed to stealing it from their employer. Similarly, police operatives from Mabushi Division have tracked a driver to his village in Eket local government area of Akwa Ibom State, where he was arrested while attempting to sell off his employer's stolen Toyota Hilux. The FCT Commissioner of Police, Ajao S. Adewale, while encouraging residents to install tracking devices in their vehicles, avoid isolated parking space, and verify vehicle ownership before purchase, said all 8 suspects are in police custody and will be charged to court upon the conclusion of investigations. Now, a severe gully erosion has destroyed at least 15 houses and large swathes of farmland in Ikulimili, a community in Inewi South local government area of Anambra State. In the aftermath of the incident, residents are appealing to the state government for urgent intervention to prevent further devastation. The erosion, which has also cut off several major roads, poses a significant threat to the livelihood and safety of the people. One of the most dangerous erosion sites lies just 50 meters from the strategic Oba Inewi Oga Okigwe Expressway, a vital route for commuters. Despite over 30 years of pleas to successive governments, residents say no substantial action has been taken. In an attempt to slow the erosion, the community has undertaken various self-help measures, including concrete reinforcement and tree planting, but damage worsens each rainy season. And now the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, says it has received a total of 203 vulnerable Nigerians stranded in Libya. Upon arrival at the cargo terminal of the Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos on Monday, they were welcomed by the emergency agency and other stakeholders. The returnees comprised 50 adult males, 96 adult females, 29 children, and 28 infants. Their return was facilitated by the International Organization for Migration, IOM, under its voluntary humanitarian repatriation program, in collaboration with Nigerian authorities including NEMA, the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons, Nigeria Immigration Service, Department of State Services, Port Health Services, and the Nigerian Police Force. In a statement on Tuesday, NEMA confirmed that 2 of the returnees required urgent medical attention and were immediately transported to a new Ikeja hospital for treatment. It stated that upon arrival, the returnees underwent mandatory profiling and biometric registrations before being moved to Igandu IDP Resettlement Center, where they will participate in a reintegration program aimed at helping them rebuild their lives. And now the NNPCL is under fire as 897 million Warri refinery revamp flops. Industry operators and experts have questioned the operational integrity of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, particularly regarding transparency, efficiency, and overall management of Nigeria's refinery under its purview. This is after the revelation that the Warri Refining and Petrochemical Company has remained shut since January 25, 2025 due to safety issues in its crude distillation unit main heater. An April 2025 document on the mainstream and downstream sector obtained from the Nigerian Mainstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority revealed that the refinery, which has consumed $897.6 million in maintenance cost, failed to produce premium motor spirit petrol and was shut down barely a month after former NNPC Group Chief Executive Officer Mele Kyari declared it operational. Industry operators and experts describe this as disheartening, while further findings showed that the Port Harcourt Refining Company, which resumed operations in November 2024, has been operating below 40% capacity. The Punch reports that 125,000 barrel per day capacity Warri Refinery, which has been moribund for decades due to technical issues, was brought back to life by the National Oil Company on December 30, 2024. Situated in Ekpan, Ovi, and Ubeji area of Warri, the chemical plant has an annual production capacity of 13,000 metric tons of polypropylene and 18,000 metric tons of carbon black. And now in business, the Corporate Affairs Commission, CAC, has given all businesses operating in Nigeria a 6-week ultimatum to comply with the registration requirements of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, CAMA 2020. The Commission, in a state circular issued on Tuesday in Abuja, said after the ultimatum, it will take necessary action against erring offenders who fail to comply. According to statement, Section 729 of the Act mandates all registered entities to display their registered name and number outside every business location. It said this should also be displayed on all official publications, including letterheads, signage, and marketing and publicity materials. It also said that Section 862, subsection 1 of the Act imposed strict penalties on individuals who knowingly made false statements in documents required under the Act. The Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, MAN, has reported a 9% surge in the local sourcing of raw materials in Nigeria's manufacturing sector in 2024, buoyed by the lingering foreign exchange volatility, high import cost, and government incentive promoting local content. This is even as investment in the manufacturing sector contracted by 35.3% in 2024. In its second half 2024 economic review, MAN reported that local source of raw materials rose to 57.1% in 2024 from 52% in 2023. On investment in the sector, the report stated that real manufacturing investment fell by 35.3% year-on-year to 658.81 billion in 2024, reflecting economic uncertainty and reduced expansion plans. Commenting on the report, Director General of MAN, Segun Ajayi Kadir, said the Nigerian manufacturing sector faced significant hurdles in 2024, including high inflation, forex volatility, surge production cost, and declining consumer demand. He said moving forward, stabilizing microeconomic conditions, improving energy supply, and ensuring access to affordable financing will be critical for sustaining growth and enhancing industrial productivity. And now, away from Nigeria, Amnesty International has accused Israel of committing genocide in Gaza, alleging the deliberate displacement of population and the creation of a humanitarian crisis. In its annual report, the group cited widespread destruction, mass civilian casualties, and the collapse of essential services. The United Nations Agency for Palestinian Refugees echoed concern over worsening conditions, calling Israel blockade a silent killer, affecting children, the sick, and the elderly. The conflict began after Hamas' October 7, 2023 attack on Israel, which left over 1,200 dead and more than 250 taken hostage. In response, Israel launched an ongoing military campaign in Gaza, with local health authorities reporting over 52,000 deaths to date. Israel has denied all allegations and continues military operations, citing the need to secure the release of hostages and eliminate militant threats. Amnesty also criticized the international community's response and condemned rising violence in the occupied Western Bank. Russian firefighting air tankers dropped more than 100 tons of water at Iran's Shahid Rajai port after a massive explosion last Saturday. Two Russian air tankers dropped more than 130 tons of water, the Russian emergency minister said in a statement on Tuesday. The image released on Tuesday shows air tanker dropping water as smoke rises from the port area. Iranian officials announced on Monday that the fire had been put out at the port, rocked by an explosion, as the death toll in the blast rose to at least 70 people. The port reportedly took in a chemical component needed for solid fuel for ballistic missiles, something denied by authorities, though they have not explained the source of the power that caused such destruction. Now let's join Joseph Peter for the latest on sport.
The King's Baton Relay would be hosted in Nigeria from 15th to 18th June 2025 by Commonwealth Sports and the Commonwealth Games Nigeria. The King's Baton has arrived Nigeria as 74 Commonwealth nations and territories will receive its baton to showcase its unique cultural heritage. His Majesty the King, patron of Commonwealth Sports, launched the inaugural Commonwealth Sport King's Baton Relay from the Glasgow 2026 Commonwealth Games at Buckingham Palace on 10th March 2025. The program urges athletes and communities to prevent 1 million pieces of plastic from polluting Commonwealth waters. The campaign will accompany the King's Baton Relay as a journey through Commonwealth nations and territories. A joint committee comprising the Nigeria Olympic Committee and the National Sport Commission will be established to plan and execute the program. The baton will be presented to His Majesty during the opening ceremony of the Glasgow 2026 Commonwealth Games in Scotland. And in football, the Nigeria National League has expelled Lagos-based 1472 FC from further participation in the 2024-2025 season following the team's failure to honor 3 matches in the ongoing season. The matches were against Abia Comets match 9, Dakada FC match 53, and Ijele FC match 74. The NNL rallied on the league's Article 14.11 to expel the club. In the letter signed by the NNL Chief Operating Officer, Dalami Alanana, 1472 FC are also fined the sum of 5 million naira with the consequence that results of all their played matches have been nullified and all unplayed matches cancelled. That's Sport News. Joseph Peter, Trust TV.
And with that, we have come to the end of Trust TV's News Hour. Do not forget to watch us across all our social media platforms for more news, programs, and documentaries. I'm Fatima Ahmed Musa. Good night.